Hello and welcome to another Site Supervisor briefing. With me, I now have Scott, the CEO of Site Supervisor, and in this session, we're talking about business connections. Scott, when I think of connections, I think of phone numbers, but it's much more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Greg. As I'll show you in a demonstration shortly, what we've built here within Site Supervisor allows businesses to share a bunch of information, broader than just their phone numbers, about their business in a way that effectively becomes like an electronic Rolodex, if you like, of business information.
Well, let's rip straight into it and see how we can facilitate putting some in.
Yeah, sure. So let's have a look. First of all, I'll start with a little overview or recap on what we covered in a separate session, which was around the business profile. So in the business profile, we talk about what's in there in terms of the policies, compliance, health and safety information, insurance, and so forth. And this is really about information about your business. It's not about any specific project, it's information about your business. And what we do with the business contacts or business connections is we allow that information to be shared by my choice with other businesses, right? So what I'm showing you now in this particular, and this is a sample project, so we're happy to share this, but what you're seeing is 3 different businesses that we have established some type of connection with. It's not project specific. It's basically businesses who we want to share information with that they may want to share information back with us.
And this has great advantages too, doesn't it? It prevents a lot of mucking around in the future gathering this information.
It also means that you've got your current contact list effectively on your phone at any point in time, but also it allows you to be front of mind when it comes to other businesses actually considering, well, okay, I need a particular trade. How do I, who do I know who actually might fit the bill? And let me give you an example of that. So in this particular case, what you're seeing is I have reached out to a company called EG Steel Fabrications. These little arrows that you see here mean something. So this means I have shared, in this case, I've shared a bunch of information around my business overview, my employees, my policies, health and safety information and insurances with that company for some reason.
And the single direction arrow?
Well, that just means that they have not responded to it at this point.
As opposed to Fitz Kahn, which we see 2 arrows.
That's right. So Fitz Kahn, I have shared information with them and they've chosen to share information with me. So let's have a look at Fitz Kahn if I was to open that up, and you can see here Fitz Kahn is giving me an overview or access to actually see what their policies are, what insurances they have, and so forth. And you might say, well, why would they do that, right? So the reason why they might do that is because, firstly, I want to understand what sort of a business these guys are running. Do they have the sort of insurances that I need if I'm going to bring them onto one of my projects?
And they'd be used to sharing that information with customers, wouldn't they?
Absolutely, but in a far less organised way.
Absolutely,
right? And it's not about having to look through the filing cabinets at home to have this. This ability means you can present it in a very professional way, very quickly at the click of a button. Right? So that's Fitz Kahn.
Scott, I notice up in the top right-hand corner, received connections. What's that about?
Okay, received connections. So that is the situation. It's the inverse, actually, Greg, of, in this case with Steel Fabrications, I reached out to them. With received connections, this is a business that is reaching out to me to establish a business connection. So I could open this up and have a look. Okay, Plug Plumbing Services. Oh yeah, that's the crowd that I met up with last week. They've sent me this information.
Is it difficult for them to insert this information into my platform?
No, because they've got it in as if they are already on Site Supervisor, then this information is part of their business profile.
Terrific.
Yeah, and that's what I was showing you at the start. Was it's basically, you build your business profile in Site Supervisor, and then you have the ability not only to organise yourself, but to share that information with others as appropriate. Now, in this case, let's go ahead and actually connect with that business.
Yeah.
As an example. So they have sent me this invitation. I'm going to connect, and in return, I'm just going to, let's say, I'll give them my overview, which is required, and I'll also share with them my insurance information. Let's add some a descriptive text. So these guys are plumbers. So that's basically a tag that I can put against them. Okay, so they're as plumbers, and I could put some comments in there around them as a business for my reference. I press connect, and that contact has now been added successfully. So if we go back to this page, you'll see Plug Plumbing is now one of my connections.
And would that connect with them as well if they were using Site Supervisor?
Yeah, well, they're seeing that their side, their view of the world as well. Now,
so business connections is just so comprehensive, isn't it?
Well, it's a good tool for certainly, keeping yourself organised and having the current information. Because let's say Plug Plumbing, for example, changes their phone number. That phone number will always be current in here. So I'll get the view of their current information.
And that's what Site Supervisor is all about, isn't it? It's keeping all the information current and at your fingertips.
And collaborating. I mean, as an example, now let's say I've got 50 plumbers on my books. I can just have a look here and see here's all the people I've tagged as plumbers. So it's all there. This is basically a benefit of Site Supervisor. It's something that we've built in, which is a really powerful mechanism in itself, and we encourage our users to make the most of it.
Lovely. Well, thanks for explaining that, Scott. We certainly appreciate it, and we hope that you are enjoying these briefing sessions. If you've got any questions, contact us. But for now, we'll talk to you next time.